By the way, this was Mark Cuban's insane narrative here. Why Mark Cuban believes Trump and Sanders have overlap in economic plans. You are operating as a campaign surrogate, you dumbass. What the is wrong with you? This paired up with Bernie Sanders coming out with a email being like, Kamala Harris is nowhere near as progressive as I am. Make no mistake. Is so stupid.
Call, you compared policy proposals made by Trump to those from independent Senator Bernie Sanders, who's a socialist. What do you mean?
Well, it was a race for socialism, right? Bernie said that credit card companies should cap their rates, their interest rates at 15%. Donald Trump, being the socialist that he is, had to beat Bernie. So Donald Trump went out and recommended that interest rate caps be set to 10%. The fact that he's even suggesting price controls and price caps is socialism 101.
I don't know if you know this, but your campaign that you're a surrogate for is also doing that. Are you that dumb? You must be, right? Kamala Harris literally has a policy out there in the books that is simply doing that for grocery prices. They don't call it that because obviously Americans are too stupid and too scared of such a reality. They're calling it, going after price gouging. But if you're going to shit on price caps like this, acting as a surrogate for the Kamala Harris campaign, while simultaneously besmirching socialism and calling Trump a socialist, like, what is going on, man? Nobody thinks that the Republicans are behaving like socialists. If you think socialism is bad, then you automatically are like, well, the Democrats are doing a little bit of socialism or a lot of socialism, depending on how brain broken you are. But ultimately, you're just reiterating the position that socialism is bad and therefore Democrats bad. Oh, I think Cuban is pointing out the hypocrisy from the right. He's not shitting on the policy. He is shitting on the policy. He just said price caps are socialism.
You haven't heard that from the vice president. You have heard that from Donald Trump.
Well, then how do you interpret?
How
do you interpret what she's doing in terms of price gouging, taking on price gouging by food companies?
Oh, Jake Tapper, immediately. Okay, there you go. What do you mean? You just said you hate price caps while you're literally talking about acting as a Kamala Harris surrogate. It's such a dumbass position to launch as a Kamala Harris surrogate that even Jake Tapper was like, what are you talking about?
Because a lot of critics have said that is a form of price controls.
I'm glad you asked me that, Jake, because taking on price gouging is not price controls. She's not saying what the price of tomatoes should be. What she's saying is when there's a crisis, and there will be other crises, there'll be hurricanes, there'll be tornadoes, there'll be floods, there'll be other disasters. And when those disasters happen...
Yeah, it's already illegal. The follow-up then is, well, okay, that's already illegal, so I guess it's not a new policy. She's not going to do anything then.
She wants to be in a position to be able to say, no, you can't jack up those prices by 40%.
Oh, wait. Are you saying that she's going to institute, I don't know, some kind of cap? She said you can't jack up those prices. Oh, as in she's going to control prices? Put a cap on the prices? What a idiot this guy is. The Harris campaign needs to get Cuban out campaigning for her. How many Republicans does it take to what?
You have to stay within a particular realm, a particular guideline. And
Mark Cuban is such a capitalist, then why is he defending this position where he thinks demand doesn't deserve to control the price? Not saying I agree, but this argument is so stupid. I mean, because nobody is. It depends on what his ambitions are. If it's an industry that he is like invested in, then I'm sure he wants to make that argument. But if it's something else, then he's gonna be like, you can have some controls.
And by the way, there are already 37 states that have similar guidelines. All she's doing is saying we're just going to make that a national law. So that's certainly not price caps or price controls at all. Donald Trump, on the other hand, is the king of price caps.
Why are you saying this about Donald Trump when price caps, in terms of going against price gouging, is Kamala Harris's most popular policy? Hey, let me tell you about Kamala Harris's most popular policy. First of all, it's very different than, It's not like Bernie Sanders at all. Bernie Sanders, one of the most historically popular congresspersons of all time. Trump is exactly like that guy. Also, on top of that, Kamala Harris's most popular policy, yeah, Trump is doing that. Trump wants to do that. What is happening, man? I just don't even fully understand what the happening here.
But
Let's hear
the
what
sort of
MSNBC
revival
has
of
to say.
industrial policy, both as rhetoric, right? We need, redundancy in supply chain, something she talked about with steel. We need to bring manufacturing back, and we're going to use policy levers to do it. There is continuity there, right? Like that part of the Biden agenda, which is a huge part of it, is also part of the Harris.
If the Republicans keep giving corporate tax cuts, why do they keep endorsing Democrats? You mean corporations? First of all, more corporations still endorse the Republican Party than the Democratic Party. It's sector by sector. That's number one. Number two, wealthy people endorse the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party has the exact same interest in mind that the Republican Party has in terms of where to move the economy. Make no mistake. They might say something when they're running for office, but what they do when they actually end up winning office is very different. So they already know that. So they have that confidence already when they endorse the Democratic Party, partially because Donald Trump is too chaotic, and too much chaos might not necessarily contribute to a growth economy. So that volatility alone is one reason why a lot of corporations who want some level of stability will choose to defend the Democratic Party over the Republican Party. It's bad. Too much volatility is bad for business. So that's the major reason why they go with the Democratic Party when they do. But even then, there's plenty of industries that still are firmly in the tank for the Republican Party. If all institutions also lose legitimacy, then the American project falls apart. If the American project falls apart, then we're going towards a capitalist dystopian future where you can't eke out the same level of profits that you normally would be able to get under stability and institutional legitimacy.